Hello, welcome to Food Immerse, a channel where we not only teach you how to cook delicious dishes, but immerse ourselves in the history, culture, science, and beauty of food. I'm Lorraine, and I'm so excited for you to join me on this journey, exploring different cuisines, ingredients, and cooking techniques. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single delicious episode. Fresh pasta with marinara. When most people think of Italian Cuisine Basics, the first thing that comes to mind is fresh pasta. Pasta has ancient origins, but the fresh egg pasta known today originated in the northern region of Emilia-Romagna, where it's hand-rolled and cut into shapes, like tagliatelle, lasagna, and tortellini. Eggs give fresh pasta a softer texture and richer flavor, while dried pasta is typically made without eggs. Fresh pasta has a higher water content than dry, which makes it cook much faster. Fresh pasta is not difficult to make. In this video, we're going to keep it simple and make fettuccine with a very basic marinara sauce to get you started. Let's talk about the type of flour that we'll use in our pasta dough. We will use a combination of semolina and all-purpose flour. Semolina is a type of flour made from durum wheat, a hard variety of wheat with a high protein and gluten content. It's coarse and golden in color with a slightly nutty, earthy flavor. Semolina is a beneficial addition to fresh pasta in 4 specific ways. 1. The coarse texture provides a slightly rough surface, which helps the sauce cling to the pasta. 2. The natural golden yellow color gives the pasta a beautiful hue. 3. The high protein content at about 13% helps give the pasta a firm structure and al dente bite. And 4. The high gluten content of semolina helps the pasta hold its shape. You will need a pasta machine for fresh pasta, either a hand crank version like this one that clamps onto the edge of the table, or the type that attaches to a KitchenAid mixer. For either, you will use both the roller and cutter attachments. I use a hand crank type for teaching pasta classes and a KitchenAid mixer attachment at home. They both work well, but one advantage of the KitchenAid attachment is that it leaves both of your hands free for handling the dough if you're working alone. While it is technically possible to hand roll the dough, I don't recommend it, as it is almost impossible to get the dough rolled out as evenly and thinly as needed for pasta. Cutting fettuccine by hand is easy though, so if you have the roller attachment and not the cutter, you can still make this recipe. I'll show you in the video how to cut fettuccine by hand. Before we get started, please note that the pasta dough will need to rest covered in plastic wrap at least 1 hour before rolling it out, or as long as overnight in the refrigerator. The marinara sauce can be made up to 5 days ahead and stored in an airtight container in the refrigerator. Now let's get cooking. To make fresh pasta, you will need 1½ cups all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup semolina, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons olive oil, and 2 to 4 tablespoons water. You will also need plenty of all-purpose flour for dusting. To make the marinara sauce, you will need 1/4 cup extra virgin olive oil, 8 to 10 garlic cloves, 1 28-ounce can peeled whole Italian tomatoes, salt and red pepper flakes to taste, and 10 to 12 basil leaves. The special equipment you will need are a heavy mixer with a dough hook. This is optional, you can also hand knead the dough. A pasta roller and pasta cutter, either a hand crank or KitchenAid attachment. A sheet pan with either a silpat mat or parchment paper. A microplane grater for grating the Parmigiano Reggiano that will top the dish, and a bench scraper, optional. This will make it easier for you to cut and handle the dough. Start by measuring the all-purpose flour by lifting the measuring cup from underneath, then leveling the top with a straight edge. Place into a large mixing bowl. Measure the semolina and add to the flour in the bowl. Add the salt and then use a wire whisk to mix the dry ingredients together. Break the eggs into a small bowl. Add the olive oil and then whisk together. Use a fork to make a well in the center of the dry ingredients. Now pour in the egg and olive oil mixture and use your fork to mix together. Start adding water a small amount at a time, mixing in after each addition. The total amount of water needed can vary based on the measurement accuracy of the dry ingredients, slight size variations in the eggs, or the humidity level in the air of your kitchen. This is the reason for adding the water a little bit at a time and not just dumping in the maximum amount of water in the ingredient list. The goal is a dough that comes together when pressed but is not too wet. This looks good. The dough must now be kneaded. Sprinkle flour liberally over a smooth, hard surface. This is a granite slab. Begin kneading the dough with the heel of your hand, pushing in a downward and outward motion. Knead for several minutes until the dough springs back when pressed. If you do not want to knead by hand, you can also use a mixer with the dough hook attachment. Again, knead for a few minutes until the dough springs back when pressed. Whether kneading by hand or machine, when you are done, form the dough into a ball and cover with plastic wrap. Allow to rest for at least 1 hour on the counter. You can also rest it overnight, but it needs to be in the refrigerator, and you'll need to take it out an hour before you want to start rolling it. While the dough is resting, let's start the marinara sauce. Peel all the garlic cloves. Once peeled, smash each clove with the side of the knife. In a medium saucepan, heat the olive oil over medium heat. Once hot, add the garlic. Sauté garlic until light brown, approximately 1 to 2 minutes. Now stir in the tomatoes. Use the edge of your spoon to break up the whole tomatoes as you stir. Now add the salt and red pepper flakes to taste. Simmer for 15 minutes. Stir periodically, breaking up the tomatoes with the side of your spoon as you go. If your can of tomatoes came with a basil leaf in it, remove that now. It's given up all of its flavor. Tear up all the fresh basil leaves and add to the sauce. Simmer for 5 more minutes. Taste for salt and adjust if needed. Once cooled, you can store marinara up to 7 days in the fridge or 4 months in the freezer. Now that our pasta dough has rested for at least 1 hour, it's time to roll and cut it. Don't forget that if the dough has been in the fridge, you need to bring it to room temperature first. About 1 hour out of the fridge should do it. Dust your work surface with flour. Unwrap the dough and place on the work surface. Now we're going to cut the dough into more manageable pieces. Coat a bench scraper or chef's knife with flour. Cut the dough in half. At this point, you can cut each half in 2 or 3 even pieces for a total of either 4 or 6 pieces of dough. 4 pieces will result in longer strands of fettuccine, but I like 6 pieces to make the dough more manageable. Be sure to keep any dough you are not working with covered with plastic to keep it from drying out. Using a rolling pin or your fingers, press one ball of dough out to a roughly rectangular shape, approximately 1/4 inch thick. Shake off any excess flour. Now feed the dough through the roller set at the widest setting, either 0 or 1 depending on the machine. Allow the dough to pass through the machine on its own without pulling on it. Fold the dough over once and pass it through the machine on the same setting again. Now turn the dial to the next width down, 1 if your widest setting was 0, and 2 if your widest setting was 1. Pass the dough through once on each setting, adjusting the dial each time until you've put it through to setting 4 or 5. You will see the piece of dough gets longer and thinner with each pass through the roller. The dough is ready when it's translucent and you can see your hand through the dough. Place each sheet of dough on a silpat mat or parchment paper and cover with plastic. Repeat with each portion of dough, placing each separately on a silpat mat or parchment. Do not stack. Now change out the roller attachment for the fettuccine cutter attachment. Guide each sheet of dough through the cutter. Generously flour each pile of fettuccine and very gently lift up to distribute the flour. This will prevent the strands from sticking to each other and also from clumping together when cooked. Cover the cut pasta with plastic wrap and continue with the rest of the sheets. Here's how to cut fettuccine by hand if you don't have a cutting attachment. Flour one side of a pasta sheet and fold it in half over the flour. Place on a floured cutting board. Flour the upward facing side of the sheet. You can square off the end using either a bench scraper or a knife, and then do the same to the sides, evening them up. Make sure the top of the sheet is well floured so it doesn't stick to itself, and fold one more time. Now, cutting in the same direction you folded, slice pasta into approximately 1/4 inch wide strips. Bring a large pot of water to a boil and add a generous amount of salt. Fresh pasta only takes about 2 minutes to cook, so make sure to have sauce heated up and Parmesan ready to grate before you drop the pasta. As you drop in the pasta, be sure to stir with tongs to keep it from clumping together. After 2 minutes, test a strand. It should be just al dente, which means to the tooth in Italian, or having a little bite to it in the center. Do not overcook. Use tongs or a spider to lift the pasta directly into the heated marinara sauce. This method allows some of the pasta water to cling to the pasta, with the starch in the water helping to emulsify the sauce and allowing it to adhere to the pasta. Use tongs to make sure the pasta is thoroughly combined with the sauce. Place into pasta bowls, grate some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano over the top, and serve. Thank you so much for joining Food Immerse and exploring different cuisines, ingredients, and cooking techniques. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss a single delicious episode. If you make this dish, I would love to hear about it in the comments or shoot me an email. Until next time, cheers to good food.